In my small village among the mountains, I had only one horse, my companion and my strength in times of hardship. I never knew this horse would lead me to a strange fate that changed faces and hearts. That is why I always said, never judge good or evil too quickly, for a trial may carry mercy, and a blessing may hide a burden. And so began my story, a story that changed everyone who heard it.
Yahoo!
My name is Liu, and I am the son of the simple farmer, Li Wang. I was born and raised in a small, peaceful village in the Jingli province of China. Our life was always humble, but I found it filled with challenges and surprises, each teaching unforgettable lessons. Today, I will share with you one of the stories that taught me how life is full of paradoxes. What may seem like a disaster at one moment could turn into a blessing in the next, and vice versa. My father owned a single horse, which was all we had to help us plow the fields and do the farm work. I remember the day we woke up to find that the horse had run away. I saw the sadness in my father's eyes, even though he tried to hide it behind his calm demeanor. I couldn't help but wonder how we would manage without the horse. Only a few hours passed before our neighbors, Zhou and Ling, came to console my father, saying, "Oh Li, what a disaster! How will you manage now without your horse?" To my surprise, my father, as calm as ever, simply smiled and said, "A disaster? Maybe, who knows?" At that moment, I was puzzled. How could my father face such a great misfortune with such calmness? I didn't understand him back then. The next day, as we worked slowly in the field without help, I saw something strange approaching from a distance. It was our horse, but it wasn't alone. It had returned with 6 wild horses. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. We quickly gathered the horses, filled with joy, as we now had an unexpected fortune. The neighbors came again, but this time to congratulate my father, saying, "Oh Li, what a blessing! You now own 7 horses." But I couldn't believe that my father would remain so composed. Yet, he simply nodded his head and said, "A blessing, maybe, who knows?" Again, I was baffled. How could he remain so cautious, even when fortune seemed to be smiling upon us? A day or two later, I couldn't resist the urge to tame one of the wild horses. I was excited, eager to show my skills in front of everyone, despite my father's warnings. I forcefully mounted one of the horses, but it was stronger than I anticipated. Suddenly, the horse bucked and threw me off. I hit the ground hard, and my leg broke. The pain was intense, but more than that, I felt the weight of failure. Once again, the neighbors came to console my father, saying, "Oh Li, what a tragedy! Your only son is injured." But my father, as usual, calmly nodded and said, "A tragedy? Maybe, who knows?" I was lying in bed at the time, still unable to understand how my father could be so calm when everything seemed to be falling apart. Only a few days passed before Officer Han came to the village, tasked with recruiting all the able-bodied young men to work in the coal mines, digging tunnels under forced labor. I saw fear on every face, as everyone dreaded this harsh labor. I was anxious too, despite my injury. But when my turn came, I was exempted due to my broken leg, while most of my friends were chosen. When the news spread, the neighbors came again, but this time filled with joy, saying, "Oh Li, how lucky you are! Your son has escaped forced labor." And, as expected, my father calmly responded, "Lucky, maybe, who knows?" Today, as I recount this story, I realize that my father understood something I couldn't grasp at the time. Life is full of ups and downs. What may seem like a disaster can turn into a blessing, and what seems like a blessing may hide a misfortune. My father taught me to remain balanced, not to be swept away by joy or sorrow, but to accept whatever fate brings with an open heart. Life is indeed full of surprises, And truly, who knows? And what about you? What do you think of my father's reaction when he said, maybe, who knows? Do you believe he acted wisely? Or should he have been more emotionally affected by the situation? What are the situations in your life that you thought were misfortunes but later realized they were blessings in disguise? Share your stories in the comments.
Welcome, dear listeners, to a new episode of Behind the Story. Today, we will explore an ancient Chinese tale filled with wisdom and psychology. Our guests are Farmer Li Wang and his son Liu, who lived through these events. Welcome.
Thank you, Victor, but please don't call me wise. I'm just a man who watched life go by while sipping lots of tea. Ha ha ha.
That sounds really wise. Let's start from the beginning. When your lone horse ran away, the hearts of the entire village were broken. Yet you calmly said, maybe. Who knows? Weren't you really worried?
I wasn't sure if the horse would return or if it was gone forever. The only thing I knew for sure was that God allows time to reveal what we cannot see. Why should I despair over something that isn't over yet?
And then, when the horse returned with 6 wild horses, the whole village celebrated. But you still repeat the same phrase. Why aren't we happy?
Because if you celebrate as if you've finally won, you'll collapse when life turns against you. Joy and sadness are like the wind. They always change. I prefer to wait before deciding what is truly good or evil.
Leo, let's start with the first moment. When the horse ran away. You were still a child. How did you feel seeing your father calm down while everyone else was panicking?
Honestly, Victor, I felt confused, even angry. I thought my father didn't care. Everyone saw the disaster, but he simply said, maybe, who knows? To me, it felt unfair.
Son, sadness wouldn't have brought the horse back. I just wanted to wait and see where God would lead us in this life.
And when you broke your leg, Leo, it must have been a painful moment. Did you feel like your dreams, your childhood freedom, were gone?
Yes, exactly. I cried a lot. I thought I'd never run or play again. Frankly, I was frustrated by my father's calmness. I wished he would grieve with me.
You even shouted at me, Dad, are you going to admit this is a disaster now? And I replied, maybe, who knows?
That must have been hard to hear.
Of course, I even stopped talking to him for a while. But then the soldiers came and took all the guys away, except me, because of my broken leg. That was the moment I understood him. My disaster had saved me.
What a turning point. Tell me, Leo, how did this change your view of pain and suffering?
It taught me that pain isn't always an enemy. Sometimes it hides behind a veil of protection. What seems like a loss can later turn out to be a blessing.
Exactly. Life has many faces, and we have to give it time to unfold.
One last question, Leo. If your children come to you in the future, in pain, how will you guide them?
I would hug them and say, don't be so quick to call this good or bad. Wait. Breathe. Maybe, who knows? Just like my father did to me.
This is the true legacy a father can leave behind.
Beautiful. What we are seeing here, dear listeners, is not just a story, but a legacy of resilience passed down from parents to children, and perhaps now, to all of us. As you know, as I listen to you, I can't help but think about how this story reflects modern psychology. What Li Wang did, looking beyond immediate emotions and not rushing to judgment, is precisely what we call cognitive reframing. It's the ability to take a seemingly negative situation and look at it from a different angle. Psychologists also associate this with emotional regulation, the skill of managing your emotions without letting them control you. And you, Liu, your journey demonstrates another psychological strength, growth after trauma. Sometimes hardship, like breaking your leg, becomes the seed of resilience and wisdom that transforms our way of life. The wisdom here is timeless. Whether in an ancient village or in our modern world, learning to pause, reframe, and trust life's developments can save us from despair and even reveal hidden blessings. Thank you, Li Wang. Thank you, Leo. Before we wrap up, dear listeners, we'd love to hear from you. Have you ever experienced a moment that you thought was a disaster, only to realize later that it held a hidden blessing? And if you could teach your children one phrase, like, maybe, who knows, what would it be? Share your answers with us in the comments. Your stories might inspire someone who really needs to hear them today. See you next time on Behind the Story.
Yeah!
Do not forget to like, subscribe, and share.